6 Signs of a Stupid Woman, Stoic Philosophy. Let me ask you this. How many times have you thought you were safe with a woman only to wake up one day and realize you were being played like a fool? Don't lie to yourself. Every man in New York, London, Sydney, or Toronto has lived that nightmare at least once. She didn't leave overnight. No, she sent signals. She tested you. She told you exactly what she was about to do, but you didn't listen. You ignored the words, the tone, the small shifts in behavior. And because of that, you lost her respect, her love, and maybe even your sanity. Here's the brutal truth. Women never betray you suddenly. They warn you. They drop sentences that sound harmless, but inside those words is the knife. Men miss it because they're blind. Stupidly blind. And that's why she plays you, laughs at you, and walks into another man's arms while you're still wondering what went wrong. But let me give you a warning right now. What I'm about to reveal is not something most men are ready to hear. It's not in movies, it's not in books, and women will never admit it. If you turn away now, you will stay weak. You will stay blind, and you will keep being the man women toy with. But if you stay, if you give me just a few minutes, you will finally see the 6 exact signs of a stupid woman. You will know the red flags before they burn you, and you will never ever be played again. So I'll ask you one final question. Do you want to keep being the fool she laughs at? Or do you want to finally become the man no woman can outsmart? Sign 1, she lives for drama, not peace. The Stoics valued ataraxia, a deep inner calm, a stillness that cannot be shaken by chaos. Marcus Aurelius himself warned that the human soul is corrupted when it's constantly disturbed, constantly pulled into storms that have no purpose. And yet here is the sad truth. Some women seem to have an allergy to peace. They do not feel alive unless there is tension, unless there is a fight, unless there is drama filling the air like poison. Think about Emily in New York. She wakes up each morning, not with gratitude, not with discipline, but with a hunger for noise. Before even brushing her teeth, she's on Instagram scrolling endlessly, looking for controversy. Who said what? Who liked whose photo? Who posted something she can gossip about later? Already, before the sun has even risen high, her mind is set on chaos. If she finds nothing, she will create something. James, the man who loves her, notices this. He works long hours in Manhattan's financial district. His days are full of pressure, and all he wants when he comes home is a little silence, a little warmth. But instead, he walks into a storm. Emily greets him not with peace, but with accusations. Why didn't you text me back fast enough? Why do you always look tired? Why don't you show me more excitement when I talk? He tries to explain, but explanations never work with someone who lives for drama, because the drama itself is her oxygen. The Stoics would shake their heads at such a life. They believed a wise person must master the ability to sit with themselves, to remain calm even when the world rages. But a stupid woman flips that on its head. She feels empty when things are calm, so she chooses war even in times of peace. That is why Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Emily never learned that. She gave her mind away to chaos, and in doing so, she poisoned not just herself but the man beside her. And here is what most men ignore in the beginning. At first, drama can feel exciting. Tom, a guy in London, once admitted this to me. He said, "When I started dating Chloe, it was wild. Every day felt like a movie. One day she'd be laughing uncontrollably. The next she'd be crying in public, accusing me of not loving her enough. And honestly, I mistook that for passion. I thought her storms were proof that she cared deeply." But months later, Tom realized the truth. Drama is not passion. Drama is a prison dressed as excitement, and passion without peace eventually burns a man to ashes. A wise woman calms your heart. A stupid one keeps you on edge, questioning yourself, exhausting your energy. And here is the danger. You begin to believe that this constant tension is normal. You start telling yourself, maybe all relationships are like this. Maybe I should just accept it. But the Stoics would never accept that. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, stop playing the game. If she demands drama, let her call you boring. Let her call you detached, but never sacrifice your peace for her storm. Let's look deeper into why some women are like this. In Sydney, there's Hannah. Her friends know she's addicted to arguments. If her boyfriend Tom is calm for too long, she'll invent a story. "I saw you looking at that girl," or "You didn't smile at me enough today." Why? Because deep down she fears stillness. Stillness feels like rejection to her. Stillness forces her to face her own emptiness. So she fills the silence with fire. She doesn't know that this fire burns the very love she craves. The Stoic man must ask himself a brutal question. Do I want to live in constant battle? Or do I want a life of inner order? Because a woman who thrives on drama will never grow into peace. She will always seek the next argument, the next conflict, the next reason to cry, shout, or break something. And you, as her man, will waste your energy on endless repairs, while your own purpose slips further and further away. Think of Michael in Toronto. He once told me he felt like every week with his girlfriend Olivia was a new war. If he went out with his friends, she accused him of betrayal. If he bought her flowers, she questioned his motives. If he was quiet, she said he was hiding something. He realized he wasn't building a future with her, he was surviving her mood swings, and survival is not love. The Stoics teach us that what you allow, you endorse. If you allow constant drama into your life, you're silently agreeing that your peace has no value, but your peace is everything. Without it, you cannot focus, you cannot grow, you cannot achieve. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." A woman who lives for drama forces you to suffer in both. So remember this truth. A stupid woman who lives for drama is not a partner. She is a storm. And if you walk into her storm believing you can calm it, you will drown. The wise man doesn't try to change her. He recognizes the sign and he steps away. Because peace is priceless, and once you lose it, no amount of excitement can replace it. Sign 2, she values attention over respect. Respect is the backbone of every relationship. The Stoics understood this deeply because without respect, love turns into a hollow shell. But some women, the ones who live in foolishness, don't truly care about respect. They only care about attention. And here is the key difference. Respect builds a foundation, while attention is just smoke. Respect can last decades, attention vanishes in seconds. Yet a stupid woman will trade away respect just to feed her hunger for attention. Think of Chloe in London. She's with Daniel, a good man, loyal, hardworking, someone who respects her deeply. But in her world, his respect doesn't shine enough. When they go out to dinner in Soho, Daniel listens carefully to her stories, asks about her work, values her opinions. But Chloe isn't satisfied. Her eyes wander to her phone every few minutes, waiting for likes on Instagram, waiting for another man's comment on her new selfie, waiting for that quick dopamine hit that says, "You are still wanted." Daniel's respect, which is priceless, becomes invisible to her, while the shallow attention of strangers becomes her drug. This is the tragic blindness of a woman who values attention over respect. She confuses quantity with quality. She thinks the man who sends her flame emojis cares more than the man who pays her bills, protects her reputation, and stands beside her during storms. Epictetus would call this slavery, not to a man but to impulses. He said, "No man is free who is not master of himself, and no woman is free who cannot master her craving for attention." In New York, I met a guy named Ryan. He told me about his ex, Madison. She was beautiful, no doubt. Everywhere they went, heads turned. But Ryan noticed something, disturbing. Her entire self-worth depended on who was watching her. If she posted a photo and didn't get enough likes, her mood collapsed. If another man complimented her, she lit up instantly, even more than when Ryan praised her. And when Ryan tried to talk about building a future, saving for a home in Brooklyn, planning a stable life, she got bored. Because respect doesn't give her the same high as attention. Respect is slow, deep, and permanent. Attention is quick, shallow, and addictive. The Stoics warned us of this mindset. Seneca said, "He who seeks approval from many loses himself." A stupid woman loses herself in the endless chase for attention, and the man who loves her ends up drained. He can never give enough because attention has no bottom. The more you give, the more she needs. And worse, she doesn't value the man who respects her. She values the man who entertains her, the man who keeps her ego inflated, even if he lies, cheats, or disappears tomorrow. This is where many men get trapped. At first you think, if I just give her more attention, she will finally be happy. You buy the gifts, you text constantly, you cancel your plans just to prove she matters. But the more you do this, the more she loses respect for you. Because attention without boundaries is weakness, and a woman who values attention over respect does not admire weakness, she exploits it. Take Liam in Manchester. His girlfriend Sophie was obsessed with social media. If he didn't comment on her posts fast enough, she accused him of not caring. If he didn't shower her with constant praise, she became cold and distant. Liam thought the solution was to double down, send more texts, plan more surprises, tell her 100 times a day that she was beautiful. But instead of bringing them closer, it pushed her further. She began to see him as desperate as easy, as a man who had no life outside of her. The respect was gone. And once respect dies, attraction follows. A wise woman understands that attention is cheap, but respect is priceless. She knows that a man's steady commitment, his loyalty, his silent acts of protection mean far more than 100 empty compliments. But a stupid woman reverses it. She will ignore respect and chase the spotlight, even if the spotlight burns her. In Toronto, Michael told me how his ex, Olivia, would flirt openly at parties just to see if other men noticed her. She wasn't interested in them. She wasn't going to leave him, but she craved the validation. Michael said it felt like living with someone who always had to be on stage. And after a while, he realized he wasn't her partner, he was just her audience. And no man can thrive when his role is reduced to clapping hands while his woman performs for the world. The Stoics would tell you this: what you feed grows. If you feed a woman's addiction to attention, it will grow stronger. If you withhold and stand firm, she either learns to value respect or she leaves. And both outcomes serve you, because the worst thing a man can do is to keep pouring his energy into someone who will never value the essence of him, only the spotlight he provides. Respect is quiet. Attention is loud. Respect builds. Attention consumes. A stupid woman who values attention over respect will always chase the louder thing, the shinier thing, the thing that gives her instant gratification. But when the lights go out, when the applause fades, she will find herself empty. And if you attach your life to hers, you too will be emptied, drained of purpose, drained of peace. So remember this lesson: never compete with the world for a woman's attention. If she cannot see the worth of your respect, if she trades it for cheap validation, she is showing you who she is. Believe her, step back. Protect your dignity, because respect can only live where it is honored. And a woman who values attention over respect is not building with you. She is simply using you as a mirror to admire herself. Sign 3, always playing the victim. Have you ever noticed how some women, no matter what happens, always find a way to twist the story so that they are the victim? This is one of the clearest signs of a stupid woman. And I don't use that word lightly. It's not about education, money, or looks. It's about a mindset, a way of thinking that keeps her trapped and toxic to anyone who dares to get close. Take Sarah from Manchester, for example. She was beautiful, sharp with her words, and at first glance, you'd think she had everything figured out. James, a guy from Liverpool, fell for her charm quickly, but within weeks, he noticed something strange. Every story she told, whether about work, her friends, or even her past relationships, always ended with her being the one who was hurt. Her boss was always jealous. Her friends were fake. Her ex-boyfriends were all toxic. According to her, she never did anything wrong, but the whole world was against her. Now here's where the trap comes in. At first, James felt protective. He thought, wow, she's been through so much. I need to take care of her. This is exactly how a victim player hooks you in. She creates an emotional bond through pity. She makes you feel like you're her savior, like you're the only one who truly understands her. And for a while, that illusion is powerful. But over time, the cracks begin to show. James realized that Sarah's stories didn't add up. Her ex couldn't have been as controlling as she claimed, because she was the one still texting him late at night. Her jealous friends weren't fake. They were just tired of her constant drama. And her boss wasn't abusive. She was just always late and never took responsibility for her mistakes. This is the essence of playing the victim, a refusal to own one's choices. Stoic philosophy teaches us that while we cannot control what others do, we are entirely responsible for how we respond. But a woman who always plays the victim flips this wisdom upside down. She makes everything external, everything about what they did to her, never about what she chose or how she reacted. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." The stupid woman ignores this. She gives away all her power, all her dignity, by constantly blaming others. And the more she blames, the more she stays stuck. Let's take another example. Olivia, a girl from London, dated Daniel, a hard-working guy from Birmingham. Whenever Daniel tried to talk about their problems, Olivia would burst into tears and say, You're always attacking me. Why don't you ever see how hard I try? Notice the trick here. Instead of addressing the issue, she shifts the spotlight back to her feelings. Suddenly, Daniel is not solving the problem anymore. He's just trying to comfort her and stop the tears. That's how the cycle repeats. She never grows. He never gets his point across. And slowly, he starts to lose himself. This is why the Stoics would call such behavior foolish. Because what could be more irrational than living your entire life as if you're a powerless leaf being blown around by the wind? Epictetus, who was once a slave, never played the victim. He endured chains, cruelty, and suffering. Yet he taught others that freedom comes not from your circumstances, but from your attitude. If he could rise above true oppression, what excuse does a modern woman in London, Manchester, or New York really have? The danger of always playing the victim is not just that it ruins her own life, it ruins yours. If you stay involved, because when you love a victim player, you become the villain in her story sooner or later. The very man she once praised as her hero will eventually be painted as the one who hurt her too. And once that narrative sets in, she'll tell it to everyone, her friends, her family, maybe even social media. You'll find yourself defending against accusations that never made sense, wondering how the person you cared for the most could so easily twist you into another character in her endless victim saga. Men in English counties like Kent, Essex, and Yorkshire often share these same stories in pubs and coffee shops. She made me feel guilty for everything. No matter what I did, it was never enough. I was always the bad guy. That is the textbook mark of a woman who thrives on victimhood. The Stoic response is simple: walk away. Don't argue, don't try to prove your innocence. Don't get trapped in endless explanations. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In the same way, waste no time trying to convince a victim player to take responsibility. She won't. She can't. That mindset is too deep. Your only real power is to recognize the sign and remove yourself before her web pulls you in. So remember this: a stupid woman always plays the victim. She doesn't just complain. She builds her whole identity around suffering. And the cost of being with her is not just frustration, it's your peace, your sanity, your self-respect. Sign 4, obsessed with gossip. One of the most dangerous signs of a stupid woman is her obsession with gossip. A woman who lives for drama, who feeds on the misfortunes and secrets of others, is not only wasting her own life, she's poisoning yours too. And the truth is, this behavior is far more destructive than it looks on the surface. Picture this. Emily from Essex meets Michael at a cafe in Chelmsford. At first, she seems fun, lively, always with a story to tell. She'll lean in across the table, lower her voice and say, "Did you hear what happened to Sophie from Colchester?" You won't believe it. And for a while, Michael feels entertained. It's almost thrilling, the way Emily makes ordinary events sound scandalous. But over time, Michael begins to notice that gossip isn't just a side hobby for her. It's her entire way of living. Whenever Emily is with her friends, the only topic is who broke up with who cheated, who failed at their job, who got drunk in London last weekend and embarrassed themselves. Hours upon hours wasted dissecting the lives of others, while her own life stood still. She didn't talk about goals, growth, or dreams. She only talked about drama. This is where the Stoic warning comes alive. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid with regard to external things." What he meant is simple. Ignore the noise of other people's lives and focus on your own character. But a woman obsessed with gossip is the opposite. She cannot bear silence, cannot reflect inward, because gossip is her only currency. James, a man from Yorkshire, learned this lesson the hard way. He dated Olivia, who always seemed connected to everyone's private business and leads. At first, he thought she was just social. But then he noticed something darker. Every secret he shared with her eventually became public knowledge. He'd tell her about a challenge at work, and weeks later his friends would jokingly bring it up. He realized that nothing with Olivia was truly private. His life had become another piece of her gossip puzzle. And here's the harsh truth. If she gossips about others to you, she will gossip about you to others. It's only a matter of time. Gossip is like a drug for her. It gives her a quick thrill, a sense of power, a way to feel important. But like any drug, it destroys the foundation of trust and respect. The Stoics would call this foolish because it keeps the mind chained to trivialities. Marcus Aurelius, walking through the streets of Rome, reminded himself, "Don't waste what's left of your life in speculating about your neighbors. Be concerned only with what you yourself are doing." If a Roman emperor could see the futility of gossip in his time, how much more foolish is it today, when women in London or Manchester waste entire evenings talking about celebrities, scandals, co-workers' mistakes, or their friends' messy relationships? The obsession with gossip also reveals something deeper: insecurity. A stupid woman who thrives on gossip rarely builds anything of her own. She doesn't create, she doesn't grow, she doesn't chase meaningful pursuits. Instead, she tears others down to feel taller. Olivia from Leeds didn't work on improving her career. She spent more energy dissecting her colleagues' failures. Emily from Essex didn't nurture her relationship with Michael. She was too busy gossiping about Sophie from Colchester. And here's the tragedy: men who stay with such women eventually find themselves dragged into that same shallow world. Instead of peaceful evenings, they hear endless chatter about other people's business. Instead of progress, they waste energy defending themselves against twisted half-truths. Slowly, they begin to lose focus on their own path, pulled into the swamp of trivial drama. Daniel from London described it best after leaving his girlfriend Charlotte, who was addicted to gossip. He said, "I woke up one day and realized I knew more about Charlotte's neighbors than about my own goals. She had filled my life with other people's." Nonsense. That is the power gossip holds. It steals your time, your energy, and your peace. Now, from a Stoic point of view, what could be more irrational than obsessing over things you cannot control? You can't control what Sophie from Colchester did last night, or who Olivia in Leeds is dating, or what Sarah from Manchester posted on Instagram. These things are outside your sphere of influence. To spend your life dissecting them is, in the purest sense, stupidity. The wise man, the Stoic man, knows this. Silence is stronger than gossip. Reflection is more powerful than chatter. And a partner who respects herself will never lower herself to the cheap thrill of spreading rumors. That's why when you see a woman obsessed with gossip, you must understand that this is not harmless fun. This is a red flag waving in your face. Because once you're close to her, you'll realize the person being dissected, judged, and exposed is you. And by the time you understand the damage, trust will already be gone. So never forget this. Gossip is the favorite food of the stupid woman. And if you allow yourself to sit at that table, sooner or later, you'll be the meal. Sign 5. Always playing the victim. One of the clearest signs of a stupid woman is her constant need to play the victim. No matter what happens, she twists every story so that she's the one who was wronged, the one who was mistreated, the one who deserves endless sympathy. On the surface, this might look harmless. After all, everyone feels down sometimes. But when it becomes a pattern, when she lives in this identity, it is a dangerous trap not just for her, but for any man foolish enough to stay by her side. Take Sophie from Manchester as an example. She dated Daniel, a hardworking man who put his energy into building his own small business in the city. Every time Daniel didn't answer the phone because he was in a meeting, Sophie would sigh and say, "You never care about me. You're always too busy. I'm always the one being ignored." It didn't matter that Daniel was sacrificing his evenings to grow something meaningful for their future. Sophie always made herself the victim. At first, Daniel tried to comfort her. He explained, reassured, and even adjusted his schedule to give her more time. But the more he gave, the more she demanded, because that's the dark truth about victimhood. It's not about reality. It's about control. By painting herself as the weak one, Sophie gained leverage. She knew Daniel would feel guilty, so she used it to pull him closer, to make him abandon his own pursuits. The Stoics warned about this kind of emotional manipulation long before modern psychology gave it a name. Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." But the woman who always plays the victim refuses to take responsibility for her reactions. Instead, she twists every situation into proof that the world is against her. Michael from Birmingham experienced this with his girlfriend Olivia. If it rained during their weekend trip, Olivia would say, "Nothing ever goes right for me. I'm cursed." If Michael disagreed with her on something trivial, she'd reply, "You're attacking me, just like everyone else does." Over time, Michael noticed that no matter what he did, even when he gave her exactly what she asked for, she still managed to find a way to suffer. And here's the thing. A woman who lives as a victim is a black hole for your energy. You will spend your days trying to fix problems that don't exist, apologizing for things you never did, carrying guilt that doesn't belong to you. Instead of building a life together, you'll be dragged into her endless cycle of complaints, tears, and blame. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminded himself, choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, retire when you haven't been. Imagine the strength of this wisdom. The Emperor of Rome faced betrayal, wars, and disease, yet he refused to see himself as a victim. And yet, in modern London, many men allow themselves to be held hostage by a woman who cries over a delayed text message. Let's be clear, life does have real challenges. Illness, financial struggles, heartbreak, these things are part of the human experience. But the stupid woman who plays the victim doesn't cry because of true pain. She cries because it's convenient. Because with those tears, she gets sympathy, attention, and control. James from Liverpool told the story of how his ex-girlfriend, Charlotte, once caused a huge scene at a restaurant. The waiter had accidentally brought the wrong order, and instead of calmly asking for it to be fixed, Charlotte burst into tears and shouted, "Why does this always happen to me? People always treat me badly." The entire restaurant turned to look. James wasn't embarrassed just by the drama. He was shocked by how quickly Charlotte turned a minor inconvenience into a grand story of persecution. That was the moment he realized she wasn't unlucky. She was addicted to victimhood. And here's the dangerous part. If you stay with such a woman, she will eventually cast you as the villain in her story. Today it's the waiter, tomorrow it's her boss, but sooner or later it will be you. She will paint herself as the innocent one and you as the cause of all her misery. By then, no matter how much you've given, no matter how many sacrifices you've made, you'll be branded the enemy. The Stoics would call this foolishness because it is the refusal to take control of one's own mind. True strength, they taught, is the ability to see obstacles as opportunities. But the stupid woman in victim mode sees opportunities as obstacles. She sees kindness as neglect, patience as cruelty, and normal disagreements as personal attacks. So what's the lesson here? If you see a woman who always plays the victim, don't make excuses for her. Don't think you can fix her. Don't tell yourself that with enough love she'll change. Because victimhood is not just a habit, it's an identity. And identities are not easily abandoned. Daniel from Manchester put it best when he finally walked away from Sophie. He said, "I realized she didn't want a partner. She wanted a savior. And no matter how much I saved her, she was determined to stay drowning." That's the truth every man must face. You cannot rescue someone who has built their entire life around being a victim. So remember this. A woman who always plays the victim isn't just foolish, she's dangerous. Because while she's pretending to be the weak one, she's draining your strength, your focus, and your future. And if you ignore this sign, you'll wake up one day to realize that the victim in your life has turned you into her prisoner. Sign 6, disrespect for wisdom. One of the most destructive signs of a stupid woman is her disrespect for wisdom. She ignores advice, mocks philosophy, and treats valuable lessons as useless. To her, wisdom is boring, outdated, or unnecessary. And this is not just ignorance, it is arrogance. Because when you reject wisdom, you are not only blind to truth, you're also proud of being blind. Take Emily from London. She was dating Thomas, a man who deeply valued personal growth. Thomas would often share lessons from Stoicism, quoting Marcus Aurelius or Epictetus during their conversations. He wasn't trying to lecture her. He simply wanted to bring more depth into their relationship, more perspective on how to handle life's challenges. But Emily would laugh and say, "Why are you always reading those old dead guys? This isn't Rome. We live in 2025, not the ancient world." That attitude might sound harmless, even playful, but it reveals a dangerous mindset. A woman who disrespects wisdom will also disrespect discipline, self-control, and truth itself. She would rather chase trends on social media than learn from timeless philosophy. She would rather gossip than read. She would rather live blind than open her eyes. The Stoics warned against this kind of arrogance. Seneca once said, "Ignorance is the cause of fear." But the stupid woman isn't just ignorant, she is comfortable in her ignorance. She doesn't want to face uncomfortable truths. She doesn't want to be challenged. She doesn't want to admit that someone else might know something she doesn't, and so She closes her ears to wisdom and mocks anyone who dares to speak it. James from Bristol shared his story. He was in a relationship with a woman named Hannah. Whenever James brought up meaningful topics like how to stay calm during stress or how to manage money wisely, Hannah would roll her eyes and say, "You're so serious all the time. Why can't you just relax and enjoy life?" At first, James thought she was just lighthearted, but then he realized she wasn't interested in wisdom at all. She wasn't rejecting seriousness, she was rejecting growth. And here's the problem. A woman who disrespects wisdom will drag you down with her, because relationships are not neutral. They either lift you up or pull you down. If you share wisdom and she mocks it, you'll slowly stop sharing. You'll silence yourself. You'll shrink your own growth just to avoid conflict. In the end, you'll find yourself becoming smaller, weaker, and less disciplined, all because you tied yourself to someone who laughs at wisdom. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "If anyone can refute me, show me I am making a mistake, I will gladly change. For I seek the truth, which never harmed anyone." That is the attitude of strength. To welcome wisdom, to seek correction, to desire truth. But the stupid woman does the opposite. She resists correction, rejects truth, and insists she knows better, even when her actions prove she doesn't. Daniel from Manchester experienced this in the harshest way. He tried to help his girlfriend Sophie manage her finances. He explained budgeting, saving, and planning for the future. But Sophie laughed and said, "Money is for spending, not for worrying. Life is short." She ignored his advice, racked up credit card debt, and eventually dragged Daniel into financial chaos. When he tried to remind her of the wisdom he had shared, she accused him of being controlling. In reality, he wasn't controlling. He was trying to save them both from disaster. But she disrespected wisdom, and disaster came anyway. A stupid woman who rejects wisdom is like a driver who refuses to follow road signs. She doesn't care about direction. She doesn't care about warning signals. She just presses the accelerator and insists she knows where she's going, even when she's heading straight for a wall. And if you're sitting in the passenger seat, you're going to crash with her. Think of Marcus Aurelius sitting in Rome facing plagues, wars, and betrayal. He didn't say wisdom is boring. He didn't laugh at discipline. He didn't mock philosophy. He wrote in his private journal every night, reminding himself of the truths that would keep him calm, strong, and just. That's why his meditations still speak to us in London, New York, Manchester, Sydney, and Toronto today, because wisdom doesn't age, it remains sharp, like a blade that cuts through time itself. But the stupid woman doesn't see this. She thinks she's too modern for wisdom. She thinks TikTok trends or gossip magazines in a cafe in Birmingham have more to teach her than Seneca's letters. She doesn't realize that human nature hasn't changed in thousands of years, and that ignoring wisdom is the same as choosing weakness. Here's the bitter truth. You cannot build a strong life with someone who mocks wisdom, because when challenges come, and they always come, she won't have the tools to face them. She will panic, complain, and blame everyone else. And instead of being your partner in growth, she will become your anchor in decline. Matthew from London said it best, after ending his relationship with a woman who disrespected wisdom. "I realized she didn't want to learn. She wanted to stay the same forever. And I want a woman who grows with me, not one who drags me back." That's the essence of Stoic philosophy applied to relationships. The woman who rejects wisdom is dangerous, because she isn't just blind, she's proud of being blind. She doesn't just fall into traps, she pulls you into them too. So remember this: beauty fades, charm fades, excitement fades, but wisdom endures. And if the woman beside you laughs at wisdom, mocks philosophy, and disrespects truth, then she is revealing exactly who she is. A woman who cannot honor wisdom will never build a wise life. Conclusion. Now listen carefully. These 6 signs, drama, attention-seeking, lack of self-control, irresponsibility, disrespect, and rejection of growth, are not just red flags. They are warnings from the universe. They whisper, "This woman will drain your spirit." The Stoics taught that the greatest good is peace of mind, and the greatest evil is voluntary suffering. Choosing a stupid woman is choosing suffering with open arms. But recognizing these signs and walking away is the highest form of wisdom. Do not try to save her. Do not think love will fix her. That is ego speaking. The Stoics would say, control only what is yours, your choices, your actions, your path. A wise man chooses carefully. He surrounds himself with women of virtue, peace, respect, and growth. Because the woman you allow beside you is either your anchor or your downfall. So ask yourself right now, is she wise or is she foolish? Is she lifting you or destroying you? The answer may determine the entire course of your life. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.